Well, good afternoon, at least here on the West Coast. It's about 4 o'clock. My name's John, Dirk Viking. I work with Dirk Viking Software, or that's my little company, me and my partner. We are making a text editor, a 3D text editor called Iron. And today I'm just going to add what I think is just going to be a very, very simple piece of the user interface, and that's dealing with the just hitting the home key, and if we get to it, hitting the end key. What I've got implemented right now in Iron kind of goes back to Brief. If anybody remembers Brief by a company called Underwear, it was one of the best editors way back when, before GUIs, and many editors have emulated it, trying to warm up my lips, emulated it for many years. Visual C++ did that for quite a long time. So I've kind of stuck with a lot of those keyboard mappings. And frankly, they didn't all make sense. But now it's time for me to change directions and kind of do something that people are a little bit more used to. So just briefly, our agenda, I'm just going to go through and do this introduction. We'll talk about Brief. I'll try to describe exactly what I'm going to implement. Um, and you can see we got this magnifying glass here, which kind of brings me to the what are we doing with Iron as far as just all these 3D graphics and what are we going to use it for? And briefly, what it is. Well, we're going to use it for several things. One is just to have a more interesting user interface. There's no reason we can't have things like this snowblower effect and full color 3D lighting, that sort of thing. Let me close this one down. See, that's got a physics engine built into it. This is rigid body physics being demonstrated here. Go ahead and turn that off. Okay. Then there's lighting, and you can see some of the skin here. We just have the one skin at the moment, but if I change the size of these window panes, I just call them panes, they will explode. And then there's also serious uses for all of this smaller space today. So Iron will eventually become an IDE to support the next language, which is called Copper. The current one that I'm writing Iron in, and you probably won't recognize it, is called Slang. It's something I wrote about 15 years ago. So I'm working on the next language, taking all the lessons learned over time, and hopefully we'll jam those into the new language. But part of that effort is I need an IDE that can do 3D rendering so I can look at real-time data structures in 3D, something closer to some of the case tools that we might use to develop things. That's just one of the many real uses. So better visualization into a running system is what we're going to do with the 3D. Let's just have fun with it. So anyway, let's get to the current. The current thing we're going to do is change. I'm going to start with the home key. And let me show you what it does at this point. I'm going to come back here to our demo. And I'm going to leave this in large text so we can tell that it's actually the demo and not Iron itself. I'm developing far enough along, so I'm developing Iron with Iron. I'm trying to get some coffee down. It's near the end of my day. Okay, so I'm going to change files here. Let's go to pick a file. Okay, so if people are familiar with Brief, if you're as old as I am, that goes way back now. The way the home key works or worked in Brief is the first time you hit a home key, it goes to the beginning of the line. You can see my caret here in the middle. It'll go to the beginning of the line. Hang on one moment. Things flashing at me here. I'm not sure why. Okay, well, let's continue. Okay, so the way the home key works and worked in brief was that when you hit the home key the first time, it takes you to the beginning of the line. And then if you immediately hit it a second time, it goes up to the top of the window. So it goes up to the top of the window. And then if you hit it a third time, go all the way to the top of the file. Pretty simple. And the end key was kind of the opposite. If you hit end, it goes to the end of the line. If you hit end, it'll go down to the bottom of the window. It's kind of the line on the bottom of the window. And now it might describe that this iron has kind of a line buffer here, a safe space for the caret. So the caret never leaves the screen. And there's a few extra lines, so you can always see code below and above you. That's the idea, and also to the left and to the right. So that's the bottom of the screen, and if you were to hit end a third time without any other stuff, it goes to the end of the file. So, and I can see that word is not spelled right. Okay, that dialog, I was just checking out this particular file. Okay, so what I want to change it to is I'm going to take that kind of brief sequence and why it really doesn't work, or why it's been silly for 30 years is, okay, so now I'm hitting home and I hit home a second time. It's like that top line, the odds of it being where I want to go is super tiny. I mean, it never really goes to anything useful. So that second use of the home key or the end key doesn't really go anyplace useful. Um, Third time does. Um, but what most folks like to see in the editors now is when you hit home the first time, it'll put you to the first character on the line. And if you hit home a second time, it'll come here and it'll put the caret to the first position. And if you keep repeating that, it'll go back to that point and to that, well, to there. And end is always going to just the end of the line. You can hit it a couple dozen times, and that's exactly where it will stay. So that's what we're going to change it to is function like that. Um, and let's take a look at the agenda here. Yeah. Part of what I wanted to point out was, let's see. So I mentioned I was using slang, and what I didn't mention was I kind of use this technique. I've said this before, is that I kind of drive a spike from top to bottom when making a new piece of functionality in a piece of software. Is I want the user as much as possible take an action, go through the entire piece of software to whatever the new unit is or the new function is. It doesn't have to do anything, so we're going to do that. Um, part of my design methodology too is that I kind of use a organic design, or really more like an organic implementation. I could spec out this particular feature, even though in a nice big design document, or I can kind of say there needs to be one, and then implement it as best we think it is. Take a look at it and figure out what all the special cases are, and then kind of grow with it. And I've got a lot of things in Iron now that are kind of implemented, re-implemented, half implemented. So I'm going to make some mistakes what we're doing here. But some of the special cases to keep in mind is multi-select. What happens when you hit a home key when you multi-select. Iron's got two different modes. It's got a proficiency mode, so the select operates differently. And I'll come back to that. We're also we're dealing with virtual space out beyond the end of the line, and then the special case where we're at the bottom of the line. You can see there's not an actual line of text. It's not numbered, but that's where you can start new lines of code and of something. Okay. Um, so those are some of the special cases we have to watch out for. And then also selections when they go from right to left. Okay, sometimes that is of concern. Okay. Take a look at the chat here real quick. Monica A. Let me say hello to you, hello to everybody. I think, let's see, I've never seen this editor before. That's most likely true because I'm making it right here before your eyes. Hasn't been out yet for any kind of demo. We are hoping to get to that point sometime in the next 4 to 6 months. There's still quite a lot to go here. It's, as we say, it's a marathon. So I'm just implementing one small piece here. And folks that are in the group, let me just invite you to quickly type out where you're from. I'm just curious where in the world you're from. I am here in Portland, Oregon. It's not raining, but it will for the next 2 months. That's Portland. Okay, so yep, please just kind of say, oh, we got we got friends from Atlanta. Oh, that's hey Les, how's it going? Uh, okay, so let's move on. And first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drive that spike. So I'm gonna hook up the hotkey to a to the current function. Yeah, we want to save this. Um, we save that change. So we're just replacing a function. Um, and that function is iron edit home. Um, and it's kind of tiny type. Lean forward just a little bit. I need all the space I can get here. I'm usually working on 2 monitors, and I'm kind of squeezed in, but that's all good. So I want to point out here when we hit the function key, when we hit the home key, this function we want to hook up to be executed. Um, and what it's going to do is it takes the current file in that pane and it's got to do some locking for the undo system. Then there's a check to see whether there's a multi-select going on. When it's latched, there's a multi-select function. And when it's not latched, there's only one selection in the window, so that's all we have to worry about. Uh, when it is latched, um, we do this begin and end, so it'll catch all of the changes to all the selections that are currently there. So that's this little for loop here. And then up to this point, iron key count home. So when you hit a key, it ups the amount. So every third key, it'll go to the top of the screen or go to the beginning of the line or the top of the line. That's kind of the old function. That's what we want to replace. And this sub-edit home, this is where it is actually moving the caret. So based on that counter, 0, 1, 2, and then nothing, of course. It will go to different places. So sub-edit caret, current selection, actually is going to, well, let's see, column 0, 0 based, of course, and then the line number, which would be the current line number of the caret. If it were going to the top of the screen, then it kind of goes through and figures out roughly the top of the screen minus this caret upper. That's the buffer at the top of the screen that always keeps something displayed above the caret. Okay. And I know I'm kind of going through this quickly because a lot of this is just going to go away. Let's see, and then pane is greater than the caret, otherwise it's just going to go to line. Here it is going to the top beginning of the file, 0, 0. Okay, so that functionality is going to get replaced. Let's do this, and it's already wired, so that's kind of a good thing. Let's do this. Just checked out the file. That was that flash of a dialog. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go status sub edit home. Okay, just going to add this one little line, and we'll compile. Oh, I was working on grammars today, so there are a few warnings yet in the new grammar. And I haven't compiled this. I apologize for that. So it's going to be just a moment. You can see that iron has a build utility. It's kind of C-like, um, but probably not what we're going to stick with. There'll be a different kind of build utility within iron. Um, close that again. See how our compile did, and it was successful. We like that. Okay, earned a new badge. Um, so if we run the utility, let's change from the agenda. And here's the status, and it's all kind of big. So what we should see is when I hit the home key, there it says subedit home. So the spike has already been driven, and this since I'm just kind of revamping this routine. But I just want to show you partly what partly what the spike consisted of. So the keyboard mapping, if we look for search for edit home, okay, so no repeat. When I hit the home key, no repeat. This is the keyboard mapping file, by the way. It's going to call the edit home function. And then going uphill, just taking a look, here's all the edit stuff, inserting different characters. And then, let's go down to the multi-selection. Sorry, I can't extend out this page right now. Find multi-select. So anyway, these are all the shift up, shift down, multi-select going right there. Okay. So I would insert, yeah, a new keyboard mapping if it was a new function. But we've got one already in there. And that function subedit, if I go to iron, I got it, this one. I'm here, and I go to iron keyboard parser for that iron edit home. You can see there's the function, and it's all running off of enum types for all the function types. So keyboard edit home, run up here, and I can show you a bit of slang. So this is the enum type. Pretty extensive, all the functions that iron can do presently. So keyboard edit home, and the shortcut is the same as the name I used in the keyboard mapping file, so edit home. So anyway, that would be the hookup. As far as driving, I would have added those lines for any kind of new function. Add a new entry into the enum type, hook up the function, hook up the keyboard mapping there. And that would be driving the spike. But since it's already there, we don't have to worry about that. So in looking at this code previously, it's kind of like, well, now I'm not counting. I'm not going to use this iron count home. All I'm going to do is if the caret, first time you hit caret, if it's not at the first character, non-space character on the line, it'll just move to that first non-space character. If there's nothing on the line, of course, it'll move to the beginning of the line. Blank spaces here would be a good test. Oh, that's a special case. Let's just make a note. There's special cases. All right. Blank lines. And save that file. Okay, and let's see, and then continuing my thought, if the caret is at the beginning of the line, yeah, basically it's if the caret's not at the first non-space character, it'll move there. And if it's already there, it'll move to the beginning of the line. And then that'll cause it to go back and forth each time I hit the home key. Okay, so I don't really need to use this counter anymore. It's really about where is the caret in relation to that first uh, non non-space character. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out the functionality that was there before. Might keep it for reference. So I'm going to need the line of code. I'm going to need the actual line of code that the selection is saying, hey, go home. I can find an example closer. Get long. Let's see. So I've been working on something completely different today, so need that. I'm kind of grabbing and let's see down here. There it is. Get nth. That's what it was. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm getting the file and whatever the current line. Okay, so iron file is attached to the pane. I get the line, the selection, the line number. Now, if I don't get a line back, it means I'm at the end of the file, whether the file is empty or I'm just beyond the bottom of the file. So what I'm going to do is call this a special case. If I don't get a line, this is the special case. I'm going to go ahead and just there's going to be no characters on that line. So move the caret to the beginning. Caret set length of the line. You're just going to move the caret to 0. And that's really the end. So the special case is when we're at beyond the end of the file. Home key, since there's no characters on that line, will always move the caret to the first column and stay on that same line and return. Okay. And if there are characters on the line, but already, I'm just going to this other thing. And this is an example of where I implement in really super tiny bits. I'm not the kind of programmer that'll go out and make 3 new files and generate 1,000 new lines of code and hope I can compile it and then debug it once it's all going. I go in teeny tiny little steps. It seems a little arduous, but you're guaranteed you're not, well, it's less like, you're not guaranteed ever, but it's less likely that you're going to incur a defect of some kind. If you can keep it small, test a piece to death, um, make incremental changes, it's in my experience, it's much better than um, just kind of going hog wild on the coding and then compile and then try to debug and then pray it works. Go in little steps. That's always been my advice. Okay, just a quick drink of coffee there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the special case, compile this up, and the other case, when it's just random, I'm just going to tell for right now to know the difference that it's going somewhere. I'm going to put it on the 10th character on the line. And we're kind of ignoring the whole counter thing. And another bit of the counter down here. Care at the moment. Okay, so it compiled. Go down to our special case. We'll just go down beyond to the end of the line. Okay, so we can move the caret back and forth. And I'm going to hit the home key. And if all goes well, we'll see over here in the status bar our little message. And the caret should move over here. Hitting the home key. Okay. Now that one's pretty basic, pretty simple. And that worked kind of as planned. So go ahead and check another special case would be Gosh, if I'm already at the beginning of the line. Now, we looked at the code, it's going to work. So if I hit home again, there it goes. Now, what happens if I just sit there and hit home and the repeat key? Okay, nothing happens when I hit it's not repeating. And the reason for that, I put no repeat right here. Let's just take that out. Okay, and then I'm going to recompile. My keyboard mappings are compiled. And here, keyboard make successful. Um, so now if I hit home, right, and if I hold the home key down, there you can see it's going repeated. And I guess my druthers for now is not to repeat the home key. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference later on. It would just kind of jitter back and forth between the beginning of the line and that first character. So file that one. Okay, so that's our first teeny tiny, or second teeny tiny little compile. We're kind of testing the end case. Oh, I didn't check it at the 10th character position. So if I come up here where there's text and I hit home, it goes to what looks like the 10th character. If I'm just somewhere on the line, home, great. If I'm at the beginning of the line, doesn't make a difference. Okay, I'm out in virtual space, goes to the 10th to the line. Let's see, 10th character in the line. So if the line is blank, goes forward, it doesn't matter if there's, say, spaces. It really shouldn't matter. That all works. Okay, so the next thing I gotta do is take a look at that line and see if, what was that comment? Marianne EC. Portland equals rain. Yeah, sometimes it does, that's for sure. And right now it kind of equals stink bugs too, because we have quite the infestation. So it's something new to Portland. Um, and right now the weather is 70, 75 or something like that. It's just been unusually warm. It was like almost 85 yesterday, and it's just a tease because we know we're going into two and a half more months of rain. That's just the way it is. Okay, so what we want to check for now is we want to find that first character on the line. So when we hit the home key, it'll go to the first character on the line, ignoring spaces, of course, right? Okay, so let's quit that. Sure, we'll save that file. Okay, so I've got the line, and what I want to look for is I want to find the first non-space character. So just call it caret x since it's where we're going to put it. Or I think I have a function called first non-space. And line is structure, a record. Named the actual text in the line because it has a bunch of other attributes, part of a line. Line. So let's see if I remembered. Yeah, that's the right function. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, this all sounds going swimmingly here. Non-space. So if I understand the way this function works, without actually going to look at it, is it's going to find the first non-space in the line. Now, if the line is all spaces, I don't actually know what it's going to return. I believe it's going to return 0, so we'll kind of test it. And what we can do is just a cheap man's way to do this. First non-space. Go. Oh, I don't have that working yet. It's int to string first non-space. Now, one thing about writing your own language is you tend not to complete all the nice little tricks and things, but that's what the new language is about. is making a little more sense. So there's a lot less typing, less friction, and stuff like that. So I got a little status message. See if that compiles. First non-space. Did I spell it right? Oh, no, it's caret x. That was the function. All right, it is getting kind of near the end of my day. I apologize for that. So that was just a kind of a dumb mistake. So our new position is going to be at caret x. Okay, look like Burn. Welcome, Burn. Looks like you just joined us. Thank you. For those of you watching, if you can just type in where you're from, like what country or what city. I'm just absolutely curious. And if you get a chance, please, after you've logged into livecoding.tv, please follow me, and you'll get a you'll get a text from when I start streaming the next time, which will probably be. Oh gosh, no, I'm gone next weekend. I was gonna say next weekend. Hopefully, maybe the middle of the week. I'll follow and you'll hear about it. Okay, so that compiled. Um, Bobby Joe, welcome. And what I'm testing here, so if I hit the home key now, the idea is that we'll get a status message saying which line or which character position. And let's just do that. So it did go to the first character on the line, and it said first non-space is 4. So here's the special case where I've got blanks. I'm out here in virtual space, so if I hit home, oh, that's really interesting. So it came back, it just gave me the first non-space was the end of the line. I would have kind of expected it. It's actually B. Back this up. We put here, should be 0. Put 1 space in there. Gives us 1. That's really interesting. I would have thought it would be 0. And I'm using it for something else, so I'm kind of not inclined to change what that function's doing at the moment without digging deeper, and I probably wouldn't have time in this stream. Oh, okay, about 35 minutes. We may go to an hour, and I can certainly entertain questions. So the first non-space, that works. We're down here. First non-space. Excellent. Okay. So the curious case of a blank line with blanks on it. Why does it go? Okay, so that's the case we're gonna have to handle. Let me come back to that one. Save that file. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna compare the current position of the caret to where the home key moves to or says I need to move here. And if it's already there and it's not the beginning of the line as at position 0, then caret's going to be moved to position 0. Okay, so here, get the first non-space. We still have that special case to worry about. So if the position we just found does not equal the selection, same caret x, and do here. Okay, so then let's just do the equivalency first. It's reference once in a while. So if it does equal, we want it to go to position 0. If it's already at 0, that's fine. That's where we want it to stay. If it's not, to run over to the new caret position. And this subedit caret set will in fact change this selection rate. Okay, so let's compile that up. All right, that's going to work. I get another point toward a badge. It's a successful compile. All right, got to take joy in the little things that happen during your long coding days. Okay, so if I hit home, it should go to the first, the N. Sure enough, if I hit home again, the caret in the new, where it says the first character will be the same, and in that case, it should move to the beginning of the line. Yay. Now if I hit home again, it should just go back and forth. So that is actually kind of functioning well. Like I said, not a terribly difficult piece being implemented here. Okay. So let's figure out what's going on with this blank here. Now, if when I hit home, I mean, this is kind of part of the organic implementation thing I was talking about earlier. It's like, well, I can kind of, I think it's a mistake at the moment, but it's kind of like, well, maybe when I hit home, that makes fair enough sense, or that's useful. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but maybe it's useful. I think home in this case really should just go to the beginning of the line. So when there's a blank line, there's no spaces on here, it should just go to the home position. But I could see how that might be useful to someone if I'm out here. Nah, it's not really doing what I'd have to hit home twice then to get to the beginning of the line. But then I can go back and forth. An interesting idea. Not sure. Anybody have any druthers on that? Well, let's just do the check and want it to go the beginning of the line. So it's saying, let's go back. Okay, so if I put one space out there, go end, we can see our first non-space. Oh, I went end, not begin. And home. So first space is 1, so it moved it out beyond the actual of the string. So let's cut this, save that, sure. So we're going to go to the beginning of the line. It's blank, if same. Or if caret x is greater than or equal to the length of the line. And perfect location for an off by 1 error. Or some other error. Let's see. Kind of just miss print. Sure enough. Okay, we'll compile it up. 204, welcome 204. Nice to have you here. Please, everybody, follow me so you can get messages from Twitter and live coding for the next time that I'll be back. It's always nice to have followers, and I'll be curious to find out what projects you guys are working on. Okay, so if I hit home, it still goes to the end of the lines. That backwards. Do, do, do. Is caret. Did that set it to 0? Okay. Firepool Visual Studio. Kind slow starter. Go to subedit. So Slang generates C++, and it's not pretty. But it is debuggable, and it's kind of rare that I get into using the debugger. Visual Studio, of course, is a great debugger if you can decipher the rest of Visual Studio. So I'm just going to step through this. Yeah, let's make sure. Close it. Sorry, I'm flashing screens. All right, let's run that. Oh, okay. Stop. It's thinking the hell. Interesting. Ah, okay. I'm going to come back and clean some of this stuff up later and do that offline. So let's see if our breakpoint now. Oh, well, it's in the slang. That's why. C++. That wasn't so ugly. All right. Home. Set a breakpoint here. And okay. Come on, VS. Okay, it's the first time I'm loading it up today, so it's taking its time first time out. Okay, so here's our line with the one. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get home. Trap that. Sure, locked. Step into our little function. Their status message. File, we got our line. Okay, first non-space. So the first non-space is 1. The line size is 2, which means its length, its size, so it's got a space and a terminating null. Not a slang thing, that's a C++ thing. So its size is 1 greater than the length. Let's go down a little further. And here's our test. So the select it would go to 0. It character is 1 is greater than or equal to the length. Go to interesting. Says it's going to go there. Executing the right line of code. I didn't compile it or didn't run it because there it is correct. Okay, let's go home again. Let it run. Well, wouldn't you know it, it works. And I think it didn't run it after doing a compiler. It didn't compile correctly. So there's a bunch of spaces. I'm out in virtual space. If it hit home, and it does go to the beginning line. If I hit home again, it's still there. Okay. So to me, that seems to work. Let's go ahead and that file. Okay, so just taking a quick look, and I'm going to wrap it up here soon. If you have a question, I know this is kind of short, and it was a very simple change to the UI. Okay, need this anymore. show multi-selection in action. That's some other day. So all of this can go away. Status message can go away. This one. So that's a little tiny function. It's just a little change. Compile this one more time. Oh, and I still have that one particular warning. So if I really wanted to get rid of it, I can go cast will get rid of it. So this is a case where C++ really kind of cares about whether things are signed or unsigned. I typically don't use unsigned, or I try to avoid it. 1 bit of resolution doesn't matter a whole lot to me. Okay, so home, doing the right thing. This is our line. No, wait, our line was some spaces on it. Home, thing, oops, error, home, back and forth. Our special case at the end, home. Let's even do a full file. Get home. Happy with that. Back. Okay. So even though I didn't really change anything, I just, again, I kind of do things in small steps. I want to make sure I don't break anything when I'm cleaning bits and pieces up. So now the home function, it's awful similar to doing end. Let's see if I can do an end here. Okay, so the end and the home function are pretty much the same before. And oh, that's what I got going on. The color is too light and I just can't see what's going on. So I'm going to copy that. Page home is down here. Subedit end. That's what I'm looking for. So end and home look very much the same. True. Ah, that was the problem. Like I said, I got a bunch of different modes, some partially implemented, and I'm kind of trying them out. That's part of the organic nature of my development methodology. So Foul L, Leonard, Sean, and CCO, CC0, thanks for showing up. We're almost at the end though. I'm just going to see if I can drop this into and do a real quick change on subedit end. Just line. It's interesting. This anymore. Call didn't acquire log line. Okay, yeah, so this was kind of a silly mistake. That didn't come into play. Now, iron is highly threaded, so there are semaphores in use that prevent changes. Now, it didn't come into play. That was probably just pure happenstance that there wasn't a problem with it. So, go back up to iron subedit. Then Okay, so don't need that count anymore. Firing the undo. Firing the lines because the lines may change. That is not true. So is it needed? So only if I'm actually changing the lines in the file itself. I can change selections separately without having to lock the lines in the file. So this function doesn't actually change the file itself. It's just changing selections. So this stuff that I borrowed from subedit end is actually incorrect and left over. Just be an extra lock happening that isn't necessary. Okay, so here's the subedit end function. Looks very much like the begin. Okay, we don't need the counter anymore. Go up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stuff in our status message here. Edit end. Compiles, it does. Okay, so if I hit the end key, what's going to happen is it's really just going to do the same thing that begin does at this time. I'm just going to come over here, hit end. It's going to go to the first character on the line, get our text message, sub edit end. So that's kind of driving the spike again. That's about making sure the right routine is being called. If I hit end, doing the functionality of home key. So the difference now, end always wants to go to the end of the line. If there is no line, there is, okay, let me state that again. Beyond the end of file, okay? So I'll come back and clean this stuff up. So if we're beyond the end of the file with an end key, it's going to go to the first character at the 0 position, the first character on the line, first column. Otherwise, it's just going to go to always to the end of the line. And I think that's going to be true. We want that to be true whether it's a line with blanks on it or not. We still want it to go to the end of the line. Okay, let's do that. So the end of the line will just be the length of the line. Don't need this. Just going to be the length of the line. Okay, compile happy. Okay. So if I hit end, there it is, the end of the line. If I hit home, 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 end, end. Down here, end is their spaces. So end goes to the end of the line. Home goes home. End. End of the line. Beginning of the line. Still at the beginning of the line. Come down here. End. Home, home, home. Beyond the end of the file, end goes where it should. Does home. So I think that's just about going to wrap it up. Seems to me those two functions are doing what they're meant to do. Let's go back and take out the status message. That one anyway. Sure, I took out the counter. Don't need that anymore, the brief counter. I'll go delete the actual allocation of that counter offline. Okay. So yeah, folks want to just type in where you're from. I'm just curious. I've only had one taker so far. Are you in South Africa? Or in Europe? Are you in the U.S.? You know, are you in the Ukraine? Please just type it in, and I'm just curious. Bobby Joe from Camas. Welcome, Bobby Joe from Camas, just across the river. I even know who you are. That's a crack up. Um, okay, so let's go back. Compiled, took out that message. End, status message, and home, home, home. Yeah, it's kind of doing it like most people would. Kind of just to review briefly. So I had built into Iron a brief, if anybody remembers the brief editor, or the emulation of it. If you hit home 3 times, that would take you to the top of the file. If you hit home once, it would take you to the first character in the line. And if you hit home, oddly enough, it would take you to the top of the current page, which, looking back after, 30 plus years, that probably didn't really make any sense, but that's what I've lived with forever. But now it's changed, so it's end and begin are functioning a lot more like people are used to today. Okay, check some of our special cases. We didn't really look at select, multi-select, so I'm curious what home will do with a multi-select. Here's a multi-select. So it's only going to affect the current character. It's not latched. So if I hit home, I'm in a pro mode. The pro mode going to the first line of the character, the carets, first line of the character. So if I hit home, home. Now this is a block selection. Okay, hit home, doing what it should. Now if I latch these, so latching means I've got multi-select in multiple places. If I type something, hello world, it shows up everywhere, right? Okay, do that. So now if I hit home, both of those selections should move over to the respective. That's interesting. Now that makes sense, okay? Let me back up. Um, so here's the anchor. This is a block selection, and this is also a block selection. Block selection has an anchor, and it has a current caret position. So this block here has an anchor and its current character position. Okay, now they're latched, so I'm moving back and forth. Now when I hit home, what it's checking is the caret position for each selection. So here, though it may seem odd, that's why home doing different things at different times to me isn't necessarily the thing that I would prefer, but I think I'm just implementing here what I think most people actually do prefer. Um, so anyway, this multi-select, this caret when I hit home is going to go where? It's a blank line, so it's going to go all the way to the beginning of the line. This caret, because it's on this line, is going to go, because it's not at the first non-space character, that's where it's going to go, is to this dash. If I hit home again, this caret will go from the dash to the beginning of the line. This one is still on a blank line, so it won't go anywhere. So I'll hit home the first time. Okay, so you can see that caret moved over there. The anchor is unmoved. The anchor is unmoved. It's block selection. And then this caret went to the first line. So let me hit home again. Okay, and if I hit home again, that bottom one will just go back and forth. Or latched. So let me do this. If I put both of them up, this select now is on this line, so they'll both go to the first character line, which will be a dash. So if I hit home, there they go, back and forth. Okay. So that's kind of one of the special cases. Iron proficiency mode, I'm not going to go into that now. Um, we have no problem working in virtual space with home and end. Beyond the end of the line, we tested that. Left and right selection, we just did that in a multi-select. But it does bring up a question that I'm not going to answer here. Is like when you have a selection, so I'm selecting code to the right. My caret is at the right. Now if I hit home, what is it I actually want to keep selected? Do I want it from the caret to the home position, which is what happens? Or is it more logical that I now want to put the caret over here, but what I had selected, I want to continue that selection. and move it over here. So this whole piece here would be highlighted with the caret over here. So this is a case where it's like, tradition would have it that I'm over, my caret is to the right side and I hit home, that it would just go from the anchor. And I'm kind of interested in what the non-traditional ideas of text editing can be. So the possibility here, and it might make more sense, is it would be like this case, that when I hit home, it would include everything to the left. If I hit end, that it would just kind of append everything to the end. So if I look at, well, that line's kind of long. So if I hit end, it's just as if I said I went from what I've got already to the end of the line. Or do more what the traditional thing is. So I've got a selection that's right to left, and now I'm hitting end. What is it that I actually want selected after that? I'm thinking I've got this selected, and it's like, oh, I actually want the rest of that line, so that's why I'm going to hit end. So that'll be, maybe that's a good topic for the next one, is to change that functionality. And when I hit end, or what I want it to happen. So that's part of that organic implementation and design methodology. I'm not really sure. I know how other tools function. When I'm sitting here looking at it, to me, it's when I hit end, I want it to just, or begin, I just want it to add to my current selection. So anyway, I'm going to bring this to a close. I want to thank everybody for showing up. If anybody's got some last minute questions, please drop it in just now. I'm just going to do a little playing here, show some of the functionality of iron briefly, and then I'll be taken off. Oh, let's see. What do I have? Snow toggle. That's just one I showed. We started a Christmas theme animation in iron and started doing snowflakes. Yes, it's silly. Um, and at the beginning, I think I was showing the Xmas one. I'm gonna have to come up with some new ones. So turn that on. What do you want for Christmas? Lots of presents. What's being demonstrated here is we got 3D lighting, rigid body physics, things are bouncing off the bottom. There's no actual collision going on in this particular demo. So there's a lot of possibilities with a 3D text editor. Okay, let's see if there were any last bit things. Bobby Joe, I like it. Thank you, Bobby Joe from Camus, and Blaxis, XES. Thanks for showing up. Right at the end there. I hope folks like this. If you do, please join me. Follow me here on livecoding.tv. I'm not doing regular streams yet. I'm kind of about once or twice a week. I'm trying to schedule them with live coding, and I'm not sure, or tweeting. And you can look for Dark Vikings Iron on Twitter and connect up with us there, and you'll get the tweets probably a day ahead. And also when I start to actually stream. But now that it's a sunny day in Portland, it's a rare sunny day, and we probably won't have another one till June or July. I better get out there and enjoy it. And I hope you guys enjoy your day too. Again, please follow. And that is end of the stream. Dark Vikings, turn the text editor. All right, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much for coming. I hope to see you again very, very soon.